And that's why presence feels relieving. That's why it's powerful. Not because it removes your responsibility, you still have to do what you need to do, but because it removes the mental suffering and the emotional layering on top of your reality. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked, the podcast empowering empathic women who feel misunderstood, overwhelmed, or disconnected from their intuition, begin to trust their sensitivities, find inner clarity, and show up with embodied, unstoppable confidence in their daily lives. I am your host, Olivia Ashley, an empath and intuitive, and I am so happy you're here. Welcome to Intuition Unlocked. It's Olivia here, and I'm truly grateful that you're listening and here with me today. Whether you're listening while folding laundry, driving in the car, or just carving out a few minutes for yourself, I want you to know that this space is meant to feel like a soft exhale or even a warm cup of tea. It's a place where you don't have to be fixing yourself or figuring anything out. You can be here just as you are and enjoy this time. And I make that very clear because today's episode is about the power of presence and how something so simple can bring real relief, especially when life feels full, demanding, or overwhelming. Because if you've ever found yourself thinking, when will this get easier? When will I have more space? When will I feel like myself again? This episode is for you. In this conversation, you will discover how presence can reduce overwhelm and future thinking when life feels like too much, why being present actually expands your emotional capacity instead of trapping you, and how small embodied practices can help you feel more empowered, grounded, and connected, no matter what season you're in. So with that, let's dive in. Before I zoom out and talk about presence in a broader way, I want to start exactly where I am because this is where the teaching of today has been unfolding for me in real time. If you've been listening for a while, you know that 2025 held a lot of transition for me. And the biggest surprise of all was being pregnant with our fourth child. And it was a surprise on so many levels, from not being expected, but being so welcomed, and also choosing to wait to find out what we were having until the birth. And that experience taught me so much. And you've heard me weave in stories and feelings of what I've been moving through into these episodes. And that pregnancy has finally come to a close because I'm so excited to share with you all here in this space that our baby girl has arrived. She came right on her due date, the winter solstice, which felt super symbolic in many ways. It was a moment of light, of magic, of beginning again. And everything went so smoothly. She and I are doing so well. Her name is Ivy, and I am now 3 weeks postpartum. So we are overjoyed and excited and settling into this new rhythm. And being 3 weeks postpartum, while I deeply looked forward to this pause and getting to the other side of pregnancy, that brings this slower rhythm and time to be just with my family, the adjustment has been tremendous. And obviously, I'm not a first-time mom. I've done this before, yet it always surprises me how big of a mountain there is to climb and just witness and be a part of. And it's interesting because I went from doing so much in one way in my life of creating, holding space, moving things forward, and doing, to now all of that has stopped, and yet I'm still doing so much in an entirely different way. There's constant caring, constant presence, and being needed 24/7 in ways that are physical, emotional, and non-negotiable, which I truly do love, and I feel so happy to be here. But alongside this gratitude, this love, and the sweetness of her, there's also been struggle. I've noticed myself yearning for the future, for when things feel easier, for when I'm not needed every moment, and for when I can hold other focuses and purposes again. And I really want to say this clearly because I know so many women can relate to this in their own ways, but don't always feel safe saying it or acknowledging it. Because that longing does not mean I don't love her. Or if you're in this space, whether it's with your own baby or child or piece of your life, work, other relationship, it doesn't mean that we don't appreciate or don't care for what we're moving through. And it does not mean we're ungrateful. It means we're human. So a few days ago, I felt that familiar buildup where the overwhelm tipped toward frustration and breakdown. So I did something small. I asked for help. I gave her to her dad, and I took my two sons out for a walk just to move my body, to feel the fresh air, to get out of the house for a little bit. And the sun felt so good, and the fresh air felt great. And I lifted a prayer up, and I asked for support and for clarity and just strength to move through this. And in that space was where I felt me, where I felt strength rush in and myself soften. And I realized I don't actually want to skip this phase. I don't actually want to jump and be ahead of it, but I need more support here, being here. And that's when presence stopped being a concept and became a lifeline. That's what presence can give us. It doesn't fix anything externally necessarily. The needs are there, the routine is full, the season can still feel intense, but the reframe of presence gave me space. Space to pause, space to be with myself, space to listen and notice what's really underneath what I'm feeling. And that space offered me more patience, a little bit more emotional capacity, a little less resentment and anger, and a way to move through the overwhelm. And it wasn't just the presence that fixed this, right? I went on a walk. I got some space in a different way. I felt the sun. I asked for help. But the perspective of presence allowed me to participate in my life without fighting it. Because up until that moment, while I was on my walk and I was happy to be out, I was still in that fight, flight, overwhelm space. So when I shifted into remembering it's okay to be here, but I need more support, and then knowing what I can do to do that, that's when I started to feel empowered again. So while this realization came to me through this postpartum period I am in, presence isn't just a postpartum lesson. This applies to all of us, mothers with any age children, women building businesses or careers, women holding families, partnerships, communities, or simply carrying a lot. Because overwhelm doesn't come from what we're doing. It comes from how far our minds travel away from where we are. When we constantly are thinking ahead, planning, anticipating, wishing for relief or the next chapter, our nervous system stays activated because it feels like we're on, like we're fighting for something, like we're up against a battle. And that pushes you into that cycle of overwhelm, stress, burnout, exhaustion. And that's where presence interrupts it. By activating this present moment awareness, you can provide yourself relief and a new perspective. Psychologically, it helps to reduce rumination, those ever-present thoughts that constantly cycle. It can soften your emotional reactivity, that fight-flight response, or those overwhelming feelings. It can help improve your stress regulation. Again, it interrupts it. It shifts the narrative in your body and in your brain of what you've been in. And it helps you to respond instead of react. Because what you've been doing before, when you're not quite present and you're thinking or you're in these big feelings, you're reacting, you're in it. And then it allows you to stop and go, wait, let me actually notice and respond and shift the narrative running in my body and my mind. And that's why presence feels relieving. That's why it's powerful. Not because it removes your responsibility, you still have to do what you need to do, but because it removes the mental suffering and the emotional layering on top of your reality. It can allow you to stop living 5 steps ahead and come back into the body you're already in. And that's where embodiment becomes essential. It allows you to transition from your mind back into your body in a way where you're not just feeling what you're already feeling, but in a way that's disruptive, to let yourself shift gears and build a new cycle and way of being. Because presence isn't something you think your way into, right? You can conceptualize it, you can analyze and understand mentally what presence means to you, but it's something you truly feel. It's when you drop in and you understand, whoa, I'm here. I'm noticing. My senses are awakened. My breath is going. I'm safe. I can take a pause. I can get out of this space I've been living in. And that's where practices that support your body can be so helpful in this time and space when you're stuck or feeling overwhelmed, because it allows you to, again, move from your mind into your body, and also it gives you opportunity to zoom out. Things that are simple that help me, that I hope can help you. And I'm sure you have your own modes of knowing what feels right for you. But some I love are walking in the sunshine, movement of any kind. I love yoga, followed by meditation or breath work to really sync up the mind, body, spirit, emotional connection. Also, music. Music has its own power and ability to bring you into the present moment. Putting on something that feels emotionally right for what you need could be uplifting or sad and emotional or frequency tones, whatever you need, that will bring you back into yourself. Also, journaling, love it, writing, expressing, also prayer. Asking for clarity, support, guidance from your spirit team or the universe, God, and really sinking into knowing you're not alone. You can ask for that help. And when I did so on my walk, I felt my dad come through so strong and flood me with emotions that felt soothing and calming and empowering. And lastly, I love to call a friend. If I'm stuck in my mind and I am struggling, sometimes it's really helpful to be able to call a friend, call a loved one, and express how I feel and really just ask them to listen, be there to support me, to navigate it, especially if you're in a postpartum period or any season that's feeling heavy. And what these practices are really doing is they're resetting you. They're bringing you into sensation, breath, awareness, out of the future fear, planning, or focus, and back into the now. It helps us zoom out from our hyper focus also on the micro, where we're ruminating, we're stuck in our feelings, we're stuck in our space, and remind us there's so much more out there. That what we're facing in reality is probably not as big as what we're making it. And even if it is, this too shall pass. Nothing is permanent. Everything will move from this period. And that's where gratitude also plays a role. Not as a toxic positivity, but as a method of grounding, of upliftment, of expansion, when you start to focus on noticing what's working, noticing what's here, what is alive in this moment, and that you can be grateful for. Even just thinking about 2 things a day can help you shift. I also see that presence is where intuition lives. So if we are overthinking, we're overwhelmed, we're burnt out, whatever it is we're feeling, if we're stuck in that space and those cycles, your intuition is going to be muddy. We're not going to be hearing, and not only your intuition, but your connection to something greater, to the other side, to your guides, to your spirit team. You won't have those messages, or you won't see those signs as clearly as you can when you have the space and capacity to do so. So when you become present and your mind begins to quiet a little bit, that inner knowing, your intuition can get louder. And that's where you can begin to sense what you actually need, what you can let go of, what is real, what deserves your energy, and what doesn't. Presence doesn't make life perfect. This is not the end-all be-all solution, but it does help things feel more livable. It's one more tool in your toolbox to help support you in the moments that you need it, because it gives you access to yourself again. It gives you the power to reclaim your sovereignty and yourself again. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, or you're in a tough season, or you're just feeling busy and wanting some space and a reminder that you're here too, that you matter, your feelings matter, and you need a little extra bolstering, I want to offer this simple reframe of when you're feeling any of these big feelings, or you're feeling stuck in a certain cycle, or just too busy and overwhelmed to really even think for yourself. Remember that you don't need to escape this moment. What you actually are needing is the support being inside of it. So presence isn't going to force yourself to enjoy everything. It's more going to allow you to notice what's here without adding more suffering. Even one conscious breath, taking an intentional moment, pause or break, or one choice practice to come back into your body and to support yourself, that is enough to shift the tone of your day, to give you a little bit more capacity and resilience to step back into your life, to be more grounded, open, less reactive, and hopefully more hopeful. Because I know how I feel in this moment. It's daunting, it's scary even, knowing how much this sweet baby girl needs me and is asking of me. And yet, that's my most important focus right now. So taking some space and time to recover, to take a shower, to go for a walk, to remember I'm still here, even though I'm giving so much, I still matter and I need to tend to myself to be my best for my family and ask for help. So I hope that this episode gives you some support, some help, however you need in this time, and know that you're not alone, that whatever you're facing is temporary, and it can be beautiful, it can be hard, and that this too shall pass. As I close this for today, I'd like you to remember this. You don't need to do more. Just notice where presence might support you. You are also allowed to want ease and also honor the season you're in. You are allowed to feel stretched and grateful, and you're allowed to be human in any form that you are. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you feel called, please leave a rating and review to show your appreciation for myself and for this space. And until next time, stay strong, stay mindful, and I hope you can find some presence and power in your day. Thank you for joining me on Intuition Unlocked. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of insight, guidance, or intuitive inspiration. To dive deeper into our community and get access to exclusive content, head to my website at www.olivia-ashley.com and subscribe to my newsletter. You can also connect with me on Instagram at wildlyolivia for daily inspiration and updates. Remember, your intuition is your superpower. Trust it, nurture it, and let it guide you. Until next time, I'm Olivia Ashley, and I can't wait to connect with you again.